One of the Aussie supporters called him Indiana Joe, and it stuck. So as we have him down here for 10 weeks, I'd like you, if you're into blogging, keep up with Joseph, www.indianajoe.blog, and you will not only learn a lot about what we're doing over the next 10 weeks, he will constantly remind you about the evidence showing up in our regular electronic newsletter. Joseph, you play a part in this. Come out, we'll reintroduce you to people, because you have a portion to share tonight that deals with some of the rocky evidence that you dig up, correct? Okay, if you want to keep up with us on our electronic evidence news, creationresearch.net, and they click evidence news. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
Very, very simple.
All right, now you take over for the next little while. I'll get out of your road, and then you can hand back to me for the main message.
So yes, as John has mentioned this morning, I do come from the UK, so I am a very long way from home. But it's been fantastic being here. I've only been here for 4 days so far, but I've already learned a lot about the country, and it's very, very different. Just this, being able to walk outside and pick oranges and eat them is amazing for somebody from Britain. But anyway, in Britain, this is the kind of stuff that I do. You learned a little bit about me this morning. I run the Genesis Museum of Creation Research. It's part of our UK Creation Research Museums project, which is very closely linked to the ministry which goes on around the globe. So it's not just on its own in the UK, it is connected with all the other museums that we have in the UK and connected around the world. This is the logo, Genesis Museum of Creation Research. This is some of the photos from inside. We've got a lot more detail, or got a lot more displays than is what's actually showing there. This is a couple of months old. They are constantly being replaced and updated as we get more new evidence in, more new fossils, more new research. It's changed around, different little bits are done, new shelves are put up, new stuff is being displayed all the time. Just the other day, we have had a brand new display of a magnificent fossil fish. If you do get a chance to go have a look at our fossil fish we've got here in Australia, you'll see that it is vomiting. It's been squashed so much that it's actually throwing up. And we've got a very similar one. The only difference is the fish is a little bit whole. You can still see the teeth marks where the bigger fish has been biting into it. So I do all of this kind of stuff. It's not just the collecting and the displaying. We have a lot of visitors come around to the museum. We've had everybody from very, very tiny people all the way up to university professors come to see us. And atheists and Christians, all sorts, come and sometimes to see the evidence, sometimes to see the collection, but whoever comes through our doors, we always make sure they go away with the gospel message. A little bit about some of the research that I do. What I didn't mention too much of this morning, but a few of you did pick up on after John mentioned it, is I am a geology student. I'm coming up to my final year in geology, majoring in a subject called paleobiology, which basically means I get fossils and try and work out how those creatures lived. It's quite easy for me, simply because the fossil record is a mess. It's very difficult if you want to try and make it a living habitat, because it is just mixed up, muddled up mess. If you believe, like I do, that it was a result of Noah's flood, it's very, very easy to explain. So I go all over the place collecting fossils, leading field trips, things like that. I also mentioned this morning that I work in a zoo, and I do a lot of animal work as well. I'll talk more about that in a moment. But just about everywhere that I go, except for Australia, because it's a little bit too far, my family do come with me as well. I do come from a very large family. Even the very, very young ones will come out on field trips with me. This one, Liliana down here, she absolutely loves fossils. We will spend hours going around the museum. She'll just go picking up the different rocks and all sorts. Here we are. They'll even come out on doing research trips with me. We're actually going to look for some stalactites in there. So a little bit about the part-time work that I do in order to basically pay for university. My academic work is in geology. I get to do a lot of great stuff there. It is basically a zookeeping job. You can see we do get to have a lot of fun there, interacting with a lot of different people. It's excellent training for this kind of thing, because basically I will have to shout to a room of about 400 people about a tortoise without a microphone. So it's great fun. We get up and close and personal with the animals all the time, so it's given me a great big, experience with exotic creatures. My training has been in reptiles. Here's one of your reptiles that you've got over here. This is a baby bearded dragon. It's just about 3 weeks old. We do breed our own ones there. This is Bert. Bert is unfortunately no longer with us. He passed away last year, but he's one of our large African sulcata tortoises. And here's something you may not have seen before, but something that we have to deal with, every year on a regular basis. Here's some of your lovely wallabies in the snow. They don't like the snow at all. Unfortunately, we can't feed them inside their shed because that encourages rats, so we have to feed them outside. So they have to come outside to be fed. But they came outside, ate very quickly, and then retreated back into their warm shed as quickly as they could go. So let's talk a little bit about some of the geology and stuff that I do. So obviously we're connected to the museum. I go around all over the place doing research, and particularly one of the things of research that I like doing is looking for big things. This is me down on the Isle of Wight looking for dinosaurs. The Isle of Wight is a little island down at the bottom of the UK, and it is in fact the 6th best place to find dinosaurs if you're looking for diversity of dinosaurs. So it's a very interesting place. You do have to get yourself into some fairly dangerous positions sometimes in order to find these fossils, but the results are usually fantastic if God does bless you with them. You can see here, we've got some very large footprints from the dinosaurs. This particular dinosaur footprint is from a dinosaur called Iguanodon. It's very, very popular, also very common to find these footprints down on the Isle of Wight. You can even find dinosaur trackways. You can't see it too clearly here, but basically every single one of those arrows is pointing to a footprint. So you can see exactly which direction the dinosaur walked. There's some more of the big dinosaurs that we've found. There's my little sister. She's found a dinosaur footprint herself, and she's pretending to be one. You find these all over the place, these great big giants from the past. And I've always found this kind of thing fascinating, always loved looking for these big dinosaurs. So that's a little bit about me and a little bit about the kind of work that I do around. But please do, if you want to support us, like John will tell you about later, there are many different ways that you can support us. Prayer is the biggest one because I come from a country which used to send out missionaries, and we now desperately need them. So it's a real difficult place to be in the UK at the moment, so prayer is gratefully received for anything there. But there's a little bit about some of the work that I do both here and around the world.